Hello, everyone. Welcome to Pretty Ugly Lessons podcast. I am your co-host, Tashana Barber, with...
I'm your co-host, Brittany Caldwell. Hello, you guys. And we do have some special friends here today.
Hey, everyone. I'm Beebs.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brittany.
And today we're talking about something that is near and dear to all of us. We are all professional Black women in the workplace. And we all have experiences and things that we deal with in the workplace. Let's get into it. Have you ever had any experience with like your aesthetic in the workplace? Like, have you ever felt the need to like change your hair or like switch up your clothes depending on where you're working?
For the most part, I really haven't. I would say that I have tried to be conscious about it, just appearing polished, but I don't think I've ever had an issue where I felt like I have 4C hair, so like I had to straighten my hair or wear it a certain way. Particularly being right now living in Atlanta in the South, I feel like there are so many women that wear their natural hair. It makes me feel comfortable, of course, showing up professionally.
Do you feel like it was like, so you're saying in Atlanta you felt that way, but you're from...
Yeah, so growing up in Portland, I never really thought about that, being really cognizant of wearing my natural hair or anything like that. At the time, it was kind of more like, you know, everyone was wearing weaves or braids, so I did it. But showing up professionally in a certain way, I don't think I really ever had to worry about that too much.
I'm actually the opposite. I feel like working in DC, I would only go to interviews with a sew-in. And a sew-in is in like straight extensions. And I would make sure to wear glasses and pearls because I was always very nervous of being discriminated against.
Was there ever a time where you were going to like interviews and stuff without that though?
No, when I was interviewing for the government, and I always made sure I had either like a French tip on my nails or nude colors. And I always had pearls, glasses, hair straight.
That seems like a learned behavior. Like, where do you think that started?
Probably from the military. The military really didn't have a true acceptance of natural Black hair or natural Black hairstyles. They just implemented new regulations in like 2015, 16 that really opened up the acceptance of hairstyles like braids, twists, you know, stuff like that. But I do feel like it's learned behavior in that way, but I also just feel like just to be safe, just in case this person might discriminate, let me just play it safe. But I know that I feel like that's maybe my own trauma of feeling as though discrimination is so real that if they see that I look too pro-Black, quote unquote, with a big afro, that they might, you know, choose Becky over me.
Yeah.
So how are you wearing your hair? Like if you're on deployment, you're not going to a hairdresser, you're not really wearing weaves, are you? So what are you doing with your hair?
That's a really good question. I'm going to pass it to this one over here who's been on 3 deployments.
So for me, I just honestly, I wear my natural state of hair. You don't have access to a lot of things, weaves or braids or extensions. So you just wear your hair back in a ponytail or back into twists, whichever is most comfortable for you. I had a little bit of a different experience. One of my first jobs, I was a correctional officer in South Carolina. And you would think being a correctional officer, they're not focused on your hair, right? So I will wear my hair in natural twist a lot. And then they said, well, you didn't read through the policies and regulations. And I'm like, about what? And they're like, your hair, you can't wear it in twist or braids. And I'm like, I'm a correctional officer policing people inside of a prison. What does my hair have to do with anything? And it wasn't that it was exaggerative or anything. It was just literally in my natural state. But they didn't understand that. Then when I transitioned to work in a government space, you know, not much so of people wondering or any rules or regulations. They just look at you and have a lot of questions. Oh, what do you call those? Are those locks? Oh, your hair was different the other day. And, you know, a lot of people of color like to switch their hair up, whether it be weaves, braids, your natural state, get relaxers, which we're not into anymore, right? But once you switch your hairstyle up or add color, there comes a lot of questions. Now that I'm full-time in the military, they have changed their policies in regards to what we can have. We can have locks. We can have braids. There's still, you know, policing in the way we can have it, no zigzag braids or have to be uniform, going straight back, not to the side, which I still think is a bit much. Because again, if everything can fit and it looks clean, neat in appearance and can fit in my headgear, whether we're overseas, we're stateside, how is it bothering anybody? I still have a little confusion when it comes to that. And I feel like from the beginning of times, a lot of people have been trying to police minority or African American women in their hair, even dating back to like 1786. I did a little research. The Tignon laws in Louisiana, with African American women were required to wear like head wraps on their hair so they wouldn't get a lot of attention, and that defined them from being like enslaved women or women that were free. And we started to adapt to the head wraps and make them a little bit more colorful, add details to it just to show that how we were opposed to the white colonialism. And I still think even now we're doing a little bit of that, just putting twists and stuff to our own style.
I always wonder, is it us policing ourselves as a people more than really truly other races policing us in these spaces? Do you get what I'm saying? So like when you say like, oh, I want to look polished, like outside of the military, just somebody normal. Like I know like at Howard for business school, they did kind of push like, that polish. You want to look polished. Don't, wash your hair and then just put it up, or you'll look like, is that really truly coming from our own people? Or do y'all really believe that people are struggling with this in the workplace with other races? Do you get what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, they just recently passed laws in, I forgot which states, that prohibits jobs from determining the type of hairstyles their employees wear. They've actually officially listed it as a form of discrimination. And that only passed in like 5 or 6 states. I have to Google it. Beep, I'll pass it to you because I feel like you would know. I forgot what law it's called.
Yeah, it was like, I know the focus on that was, I think about locks, the Natural Hair Act or something maybe?
Yeah, it was something like, it was the Crown Act. Yes. Yeah, no, the Crown Act. So, I mean, I don't feel like it's us policing ourselves. I feel like if we felt comfortable, if the world made us comfortable to walk out with our natural hair, there wouldn't be any hesitation. But the truth is that the world has done things to make us uncomfortable about our natural hair. And we're just getting into a place where legislatively there are things being put in place that protects us and protects our hairstyles. But it does create this sense of fear that we have with certain hairstyles. I deal with it now, and I was talking to my partner about this, where even when it comes to speaking, there's certain hairstyles that I just wore. Like I just wore this hairstyle for my speech, but normally I wear ponytails, straight hair.
Do you remember when we were in Arizona and you're like, I think that this ponytail is too long. Like I don't want to wear it for these type. Like it's just too long.
I felt like it was like crossing the line.
Straight, but what is the line?
But it was butt length.
Is butt
was
length
that not
hair
kind of a lot?
Unprofessional?
I would say so.
Why?
I just feel like in the environment that I'm working in, I don't think that I need to have a ponytail down to my ankles.
I want to unpack that though. It wasn't to your ankles. It was to your like.
It was a very long ponytail.
But what deems that as unprofessional?
That's good to your point, because let's say that's your ponytail, right? Mm-hmm. It's not your hair, but a white woman comes in and her hair is naturally that long. Are you thinking, oh, her hair is unprofessional, or it's just like that's her hair? But for you felt like it was unprofessional.
I like this question because it brings me to the nail conversation. So when we talk about the professionalism when it comes to nails, is it only professional if their nails are real? Like my mom, she grew her nails out like this far. They were her natural nails. But is that professional because they're natural? Is it less professional if it's real? Is it less professional because it's fake? I don't know. I'm kind of in between on this actually, because I kind of feel like it's given.
That draws me back to what I said earlier. Are we policing each other more than they're even policing us? Because remember I said to you, if a white woman's hair was that long, you wouldn't care. You really wouldn't care. So is that like an idea that is ingrained in your mind that as like a black woman, oh, I got to wear my hair like this. I got to wear my hair like this. When in reality, I don't think that group of people would have cared.
I doubt they would have cared. I highly doubt they would have cared. I think I don't know. I feel like this is like self-inflicted control that I'm putting on myself. And I'm really working on breaking out of this. What's her name? She was like this VP of Netflix, and it's like, I forgot her name. It's Bose something, Bose Boatman, something like that. This girl wears every hairstyle I've ever seen in the book.
Yeah, I remember
and
I
she
told you
does not care.
Get the feed in straight back cornrows with the edges gelled. And you're like, that is not professional. Why? When will it be?
I know. Yeah. I'm working on breaking myself. You know what? Her Instagram is called Badass Bose or something like that. Hold on, because I'm gonna find it. Oh yeah, Badass is Basoma St. John. And she goes to different events, and sis just big hair, color, like she just goes crazy. And she's been like CFO of all these top companies, and I've always envied her confidence and her lack of fear. I can't help but feel as though I'm still working on breaking out of my own controlled assumption that someone has over my hair.
I think it's so important because I feel like a lot of the laws and like the way that society is today, it is very rare that your boss is going to be like, excuse me, your ponytail is out of control. It looks untamed and dirty. It's all really in our minds. Like, we have got to get over the chains that we're holding on ourselves. And like, I know even my own mother, like, ooh, girl, that's not professional. Are you my boss? Did you hire me? No. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, this is a culture that you dealt with, that you're perpetuating onto me, but that's not really our norm as much these days. Just like a lot of men like wouldn't be openly gay in the workplace back then. You know, like, in fear of being found. Now.
But it stems from somewhere, right? Like, it used to be that way. And I think the reason why we internalize it is because we've seen how people are treated. So we think even if we're okay with it, we do the hair, we do the nails, but we feel like we have to change in the workplace is because we know the repercussions that could come with it. So it's like, okay, well, let me just play it safe.
Right.
Or I think it's like reading the room, right? If you're working in an environment where there might not be a lot of African Americans or people that look like you, then a lot of things in society have been based off of the European beauty standard. So a lot of people think like, okay, I'm supposed to have straighter hair because this is the European beauty standard. This is what I'm surrounded by in my environment. Not a lot of people that naturally look like me, whose hair is like mine. So let me conform. And I think social media in like past 20 years have more of an impact on that, because all you see, even with like weaves and stuff, straight weaves, you have your few brands that are out here with natural tresses and stuff like that, but a lot more cater to Indian hair, Brazilian hair, but technically Indian Brazilian hair is more wavy and textured, and then they perm the hair for it to be straighter. We still flat iron it, all again for these beauty European beauty standards, and we should just be free and be ourselves.
Have y'all felt like awkward in the workplace in like all white spaces? All of us have actually gone to HBCUs except for you.
Yeah.
You went to a PWI.
I did.
What was that like for you?
You know, it was normal for me because, one, I grew up in Portland, Oregon, so that kind of environment is normal until, I think it wasn't until I came down in 2010 to Atlanta for a wedding where I saw a place that's like, I don't want to say predominantly black, but yeah, predominantly black. And I was like, oh, wow, I just kind of thought the whole rest of the United States was like Portland, mostly whites. So really it wasn't until I was in a new environment that I kind of really started being cognizant of stuff like that.
Would you consider yourself like an ethnic name?
My name?
Your real name?
My real name is absolutely ethnic. My family's from Sierra Leone, West Africa. And so I have a very ethnic first, middle, and last name.
Do you do people at work call you BB, or do you use your full name?
No, so I use BB only because my family uses that. And it's funny because I grew up being called that, but when I moved to Atlanta, I was like, no, I'm going to start being called by my first name. And it was actually really annoying because
I do not call you your first name.
You don't. No one really does.
Yeah. So I'm saying, how do you, when you go into the workplace, do you present it?
I present my name as BB,
name.
yeah.
Oh,
as BB, yeah, because it's just what I use. But if I use my first name, I don't have a problem using it. I love my first name, and I haven't used BB because it's like, oh, it's too hard. Let me use my American name.
Yeah,
it's
that's what
literally
I'm
just
getting
because
to.
my family calls me that. If my family called me by my real name, Damaye, I would use it.
I don't know though, because my family calls me Brit, but when I'm at work, do not call me Brit.
Yeah, but I think that's different.
I
Yeah,
get
like
not
my
I don't
parents
think
have
that's
never.
a name. Yeah.
That's short for my name.
Exactly.
Okay. I remember Deshauna, you went through a phase when you stopped using Deshauna.
Oh my gosh, yes. When I started turning in my resume, as soon as I graduated from my from undergrad, I was just turning resumes, and I could not get a call back. And Dad is the one that told me to change it from Deshauna to Sean. So really, even when I would go to work all the way up until I won USA, everyone at my job knew me as Sean. Literally. Like, hey, Sean, how you doing? I really went by Sean because it's the only way I got hired.
What does that look like when you go to HR though, with like Deshauna on your birth certificate? Are they like, why did you put Sean?
No, they just think that that's the name that you go, like, you know, like I go by Maddie, but my name is Madison. You know, like it's just a shorter name.
Okay.
That's how I would tell them. That's what I would tell them, that this is just, I just go by Sean. But it literally is the only way that I got hired, is because they actually thought probably that they were calling a white man. When they saw Sean Barber, military, like the only thing that would have given it away was the HBCU. But I started getting callbacks when I changed my name.
When you guys are applying to jobs, do you put Black woman, that, like, are you real in those questions, or do you put the do not specify?
I put it on there.
I do too. Like sometimes I think about, oh, should I? And I'm like, you know what? I don't want to be in a place that won't choose me. Or once I get there, if I have to beat around the bush or hide something for them to get me in the door, that's not a place that I want to be. I want to be in places that are welcoming, and maybe because of the work that I do that's so focused on philanthropy and equity, you want people like me in those rooms. So I'm very clear about who I am and using that to get me into those rooms.
I agree.
I check the block, but I'm like, you know, why doesn't it say African American? Because why you have Caucasian on there but not white? I get a little bothered. And if there's room and space for me to write notes, I will. And ask questions.
You're missing a box.
But yes.
Yeah. I'm honest all the time, but with vet, I do not specify, because I feel like there's honestly a vet preference up here, but we'll get into that. Yeah, vets get all the jobs.
I do not think so.
Up here,
I can tell you,
preference. They're required by law.
it's a veteran's preference. However, it does not necessarily mean that you will get the job. There was a point in time that I felt like everyone on USA Jobs probably had to have my application. And I had veterans preference on there, but it's also percentage based. So based off of how many years you've been in, how many deployments you've been on, et cetera, is the preference you get. And let's be real, because I've sat on like a interview board for the government and how they hire people, but in my military suit, it still is about who you know. Yeah. So that's another conversation, but it's about who you know.
So tell us about your experience, especially being someone that's in the teaching space or was in the teaching space. Did you have issues with your hair or image?
Not necessarily my hair, but I will say so starting off, going to an HBCU, it's a very Black space. And then I moved to Atlanta, which is also a very Black space in most spaces. And then I was teaching at a all Black high school with all Black staff as well. So like I felt like I was kind of in like a bubble for a while. So then when I moved and ended up working in a very mixed space, it was really a transition period for me. So like a lot of the lessons that I feel like people learn, or like the, precautions that you might take as you're learning and into these like corporate, especially professional spaces as a young Black woman, I had not really like had to deal with all the way until I went into a new space. I felt like I wasn't really perceived very well. Or like the things that I love about myself, like I'm direct, but they felt it was like rude,
Aggressive,
or like even like if I cracked the same joke he cracked, it's like a, do you know what I'm saying? Like a girl, you know what I'm saying? But like he just cracked it. Do you know what I'm saying? Or even like a comfortability with me that you should not have. Like a almost trying to like homegirl me, but you're not my homegirl. And just because I'm Black, I don't want to be your homegirl, that type of vibe.
Calling you girl.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
that was kind of like a shift for me as well. I think it was different.
You know, I've had a similar experience. I forgot about this, where I have a the homegirl you situation, where I feel like the goal is to make you comfortable, but it actually makes me offended.
Yeah.
Because I was in the military. I was at my 2-week training. You know, when you're in the reserves, you work 2 days a month and then you do 2 weeks a year. So I was at my 2 weeks and I was seeing my unit for the first time in Lord knows how long. And I met a major. I was a captain. He was a major. So this is how I know I really must have been mad, because I went off on someone that outranked me. So we all went out to go bowling. And we had been out for a while, and I was with like a group of 10 people. And I said, hey, you know, if anybody's phone is dying, you know, I have my portable charger. And then he's like, wow, that looks like another phone. Another guy says, wow, that looks like another phone. And then this major says, yeah, it is 2 phones. One for her baby daddy and one for her boyfriend.
HR.
And I was like,
Girl, why aren't you rich?
I looked at him and said, the military does not care, trust me. Yeah. So I looked at him and I said, I don't have any kids. He's like, yeah, but you know, one for, you know, get it for your baby daddy. Who's baby daddy? What do we...
No, your daddy.
That's what I said. I was like, and I said, honestly, and we weren't in uniform, so I really could talk to him a certain way. I said, honestly, I feel like you're stereotyping me because I'm a black woman and you're saying I have a baby daddy.
Yeah, like, would you have said that to a non-black woman?
That's what I was thinking to myself. So I looked at him. He's like, no, that's not what I meant. I said, that was so beyond offensive.
Yeah.
Because I literally don't have any kids, and you're saying, oh, for your baby daddy, is how he said it. And I was so beyond offended. And he's trying to clean it up. I'm like, honestly, sir, I really want you to stop talking to me because I'm just so offended. And we were in front of a group of people. I was the only person of color. And I just felt like, wow, this is so ridiculous. And, you know, he tried to apologize again the next day, but you're talking, you know, I was working at Howard at the time, ROTC. So I'm thinking to myself, I wonder, is this how you treat other people of color on the university that you're working at?
That's trifling.
It was very offensive.
How do y'all feel about blonde hair in the workplace, like blonde wigs?
I am not, you're going to hate me. I'm not a fan of blonde hair. I tried blonde hair on myself, actually, and I actually didn't like it. I've never worn it again.
Do you look at people
sideways? I feel like
sideways
some people can get away
in the
with
workplace?
it. I feel like with any hairstyle, if it looks good on you, it looks good on you. And blonde hair just doesn't look good on everybody. I've seen girls with all scales of skin tone that look gorgeous with it, from lightest to the darkest. But some people really don't look good with it and shouldn't wear it. That's just how I feel.
I feel like people obviously should do what they want. Will I like it? Maybe not. But I'm a rule follower. I believe in breaking the rules. And I think whether it's the hair, nails, how you show up for yourself, you need to show up authentically. So.
Honey, you can show up to my company with a purple lace front. That's where I want to get us to. Do you get what I'm saying? Because like other races, I feel like are way more comfortable playing
Hair color.
with hair color. Oh, yeah. Like, you know, Brayson had a teacher whose hair was purple. And in my mind, I was like, my job would not have hired me. This is a group of black women. I know they would not have hired me if my hair was purple. Yeah. But Brayson was like at one of the best schools in Atlanta with the teacher with purple hair. So I'm like, are we being policed or are we continuing to police each other? That is the good question. Well, what is the pretty ugly lesson in today?
Show up however you want to show up, and then whatever space accepts you, you take it, and if they don't, you leave. That's not the place for you.
I love that for you.
I love it for me too.
Yeah. Yes. I've decided that for myself as well. Like, I'm not spending time in a space that I'm not happy going, or I feel like I cannot be myself. I cannot box myself in because that's just going to stress me out. And I love that for you. Like, now you've created your own business to where you're the boss. You don't have anybody to hire. Yes. I just hope that you're being an inclusive hire who's non-judgmental with hair and things like that with others, you know, practicing the same. Comment down below, ladies, workplace experiences. Make sure that you like, comment, share.
And subscribe.
Thank you guys for watching.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.